Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are SGDQ 2016, and we are sponsored by Twitch. But we are now actually going to throw over to an ad for our sponsor, Tiny Build. So we will see you after that. Welcome back once again. We have a little bit of a cool interview coming up here. We have Golden with the runner of an upcoming game, Halfcoordinated. You just saw him on the couch for Scapegoat 2, so take it away, Golden.
Thank you. Just over $250,000 raised so far at Summer Games Done Quick 2016, and I'm joined here with Halfcoordinated, whose run is coming up in just a little bit, and I want to give you guys a little sneak preview. So first of all, let's talk just a little bit about what is Momodora for people who maybe aren't familiar with it.
So Momodora is basically it's a Metroidvania of sorts. It does have a lot of Dark Souls influence, and I know a lot of people say, "Oh, this game is like Dark Souls," but the developer,
heard that a time or two, yeah.
The developer is a big fan of the series, so that's pretty confirmed.
You've had, this isn't your first rodeo. You've had a few experiences in GDQs. What's it like playing on that stage?
It's the best feeling, really.
Yeah.
I'm extremely nervous right now, but once I'm there playing, it's glorious.
Are you more nervous because I'm asking you questions you don't know the answers to?
I think this is actually helping me a little bit.
It's helping a little bit.
Normally
okay.
I'd be in some corner, like just trying to center myself.
I'll try not to ask you anything that I asked Spike in the pre-show, so I'll try to stump him. I want to talk a little bit, too, about this prize here. So not only are you running in this marathon, but you've also got a prize that you're contributing as well?
Yes. So I commissioned this from the excellent Ellen Kramer. This is the cat form of the player character in Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight. You get about halfway through the game. It's adorable. You won it. Donate during the run. $15. It could be yours.
There we go. Yeah, it looks awesome. So again, that's a donation incentive, so you have a chance to win that as well. I want to talk to you a little bit about just the difficulty of the runs that you run, because it seems you tend to pick intentionally difficult games to play on top of the fact that you're already playing them one-handed. What is that like? Do you thrive off of the difficulty? Do you want it, as hard as it can come, or do you want to play on the shorter?
It's kind of hard to say. I do really enjoy the challenge.
Yeah.
Like, I played Momodora in beta forms of it, and I started playing on insane difficulty then.
Right away?
Yeah,
okay.
Right away. For those that don't know, in that game, insane difficulty, you start with 1 HP. Everything will kill you in one hit, and that's the run I'm going to be doing. But it's just all that feels right when I'm playing that game now. If I don't die instantly, it's just like, no, it's wrong.
Yeah.
I have to be punished.
Yeah, and it seems like you play a variety of genres too. I mean, you had everything from Vanquish to Transformers. Now we're into kind of the 2D indie with Momodora. Are you kind of a jack of all trades? Are there certain game types you won't go near, or is it just kind of whatever inspires you at the moment?
From my track history with speedrunning, it does seem to be mostly character action sort of games and indie platformers. But I have done a lot of sort of things. One of my earlier games was Monkey Ball, but I'm never playing that again.
Never playing Monkey Ball again. I've been there and done that too, actually. So I think we've learned our lesson both.
Yes.
But I also want to talk too. You tend to, I think, inspire a lot of people just with your playing games one-handed on stage. And I know accessibility is something that is very important to you when it comes to gaming. What can developers do to maybe pay more attention to the needs of gamers that maybe can't, have the same access
that really is a big deal with me. When I'm not speedrunning, or even when I am, it's I try to reach out with developers when I can, do a little bit of testing. There's a lot you can do to make your game more accessible. For example, the blindfolded run of Soten, it had all of these nice audio cues, made that even possible for someone with maybe not even blind, but just had impaired vision would help a lot with that. The customizable controls, that's huge. Try to build in custom controls into your game so that everyone has a chance to give them a try. Color blindness. There's a lot of certain color schemes that are just really bad. Say if you have a puzzle and it's all color-based, that will shut some people out of your game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think just taking your runs at face value too. I think that your runs are very well done every time. We've had you a couple times in the JRTA marathons as well. You've done well there. You've done well on the GDQ stage. So I think you're a very inspiring runner to watch, and looking forward to seeing more from you. We'll see from you in just a little bit here. We're going to see a few games before Momodora, but it'll be coming up later tonight. So thanks, Halfcoordinated, for the interview. Good luck later tonight, and we will throw it back up to the front.
Thank you very much, Golden. Just quickly before we get underway with the Meatboy run, we greatly appreciate every donation you guys out there are making, and we greatly appreciate the fact that you guys are very, very passionate about the fact of killing or saving animals. We are, in fact, so grateful for the $44,000 that is already raised. However, there are an absolute bunch of other donation incentives out there that you guys are gonna wanna see. Like, coming up, we have the All Collectibles run on Defunct, which is currently sitting at $380 out of $2,000. Thanks to the Yeti, the controller cam for Momodora was met. There's a bunch of stuff coming up for Cloud Built, like Skin Choice and the Supercharged Final Stage. So while we love that you guys love to kill or save animals, there's a bunch of other games out there as well. Oh, and a small warning for the audience at home. Halfcoordinated is a big fan of puns, so prepare your best pun donations. With that, I think, are we ready to go with Meatboy? All right, I'll hand it over to you guys.
Awesome. All right, so this is Super Meatboy Dark Ending. I'm Warm_Ham.
I am, once again, Fims.
Matty Ice.
And
they're not going to commentate, they just want to watch.
not mic'd, but we have some of the Dust Force crew behind me as well, Savade and Cube. So, tech platformers got to stay together,
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this is Dark Ending. I hope you enjoy it. I'm ready to go whenever. Awesome. Cool. We'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so this is like an intermediate category, like halfway between any percent no major glitches and 106%. So for Dark, we have to, the goal is to unlock and defeat Dark Dr. Fetus as quickly as possible. And to do that, we need to beat 85 Dark levels. In this speedrun, we're going to try to do the 85 fastest Dark levels. So yeah.
So in order for Ham to unlock the dark levels, he has to do 85 light levels as well. He also has to beat them under the developer's par time to get an A+ rating. A little note is that while we only have to do 85 light levels, we're actually going to end up doing a little more. We're going to do some extra light levels early, get them out of the way so we don't have to do some longer ones later that'll take more time.
Right, so that's sort of the category in a nutshell. We don't do any collectibles, we don't go into any warp zones, it's just me and Meatboy the whole time. So right now I'm working through Light Forest.
This first world's pretty straightforward. It's not very difficult in terms of how to get through it. So most of what he's doing is just going to be optimizing the levels. Little time saves. Meatboy, much like Ape Escape that Vulcan did earlier, you're fighting tooth and nail for tenths of seconds in places. You're not really going to get any huge things that are going to save you time.
I think you meant a scapegoat too.
That's what he meant.
Yeah.
It's all
What did
good.
I say? You said Ape Escape.
Ape Escape.
Oh, my bad.
Also a good run, though.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Walljump.
Yeah, so this is the Dark Forest. Basically, you're going to see pretty much the same levels, but a little more difficult, kind of a darker theme. But the general layouts are going to be the same.
Yeah, basically the dark levels are buffed versions of the light levels. So there's a bit of an extra challenge to this category versus like the any % category, where we don't see like any dark levels at all.
So I'm sure people have probably noticed that in a couple places, Ham seems to just be pausing and unpausing for no real reason. What he's actually doing, he's activating a glitch called the auto jump glitch. Basically, by holding jump, pausing, releasing jump, and then exiting from the start menu, he's making the game think he's pressing jump every single frame. So in places where we need to jump a lot in a row, it saves us the time that we'd normally have to input it. So we jump every frame instead.
Also, for people familiar with some of the older runs of Meatboy, you might notice that the replay screen isn't popping up. That's kind of a, not really new, but a newer piece of tech where I think you press, what, A and D or something?
A and S, yeah.
And it skips the replay screens, so it saves a little bit of time in between every level.
Yeah, if you press A, it advances you to the next level, and if you press S, you exit to menu. So that saves probably like 20 seconds over the course of the run, completely free, especially because I'm running on keyboard, which I guess people generally don't advise, but it's really whatever you're more comfortable with. Like, there are plenty of Meatboy runners who do both keyboard and keyboard and controller.
Yeah, I play on controller. I'm gonna call Ham out on this right now.
Yeah.
To do auto jump, he uses default keybinds, and so he has to do this amazing stretch across the entire keyboard with his left hand to get it to work.
I do some left-handed acrobatics, yeah. All right, so that was Dark Forest. Now we're off to Lil Slugger, the first boss.
Why does it have to be left-hand acrobatics? I'm left-handed.
I don't know, I'm a righty and it's kind of awkward. But, so yeah, this is Lil Slugger. It's like a 31-second auto-scroller. We have to get to the end of the level and basically wait him out, so once we get here, we just get to chill. And,
Yeah, unfortunately, no way to speed this up.
Yeah. His death animation doesn't have any collision, so you can just do that if you want. If you so choose. Okay, so we have... Oh, we didn't talk about how in Forest we do some extra levels, actually.
I mentioned that.
Oh, you mentioned it, sorry.
Yeah, those are the extra dark levels we pick up.
For sure. So we're doing less levels in Rapture because they're sort of longer and more complicated.
So, like you said, so he did 19 levels in the light and dark world. In Forest, you're only required to do 17 to unlock each next world. So he will have to do 17 levels in Light Rapture, but he won't be doing 17 of the dark levels because he's got a couple extra from this world.
Now we're in the hospital, which introduces fans. Fans are not very liked within any community of this game because they're really finicky. Basically, the closer you are to them, the harder it's going to push you, which can be annoying considering sometimes you need just the right amount of momentum. Also, if you touch them, you die. So
7-7, best level. Best fans.
It's kind of hard to see if you don't know what you're looking at, but intermittently throughout the run, Ham's going to be throwing in what are called sprint jumps. Basically, right before he jumps, he's going to release the sprint button, which allows him to not go as far away from the wall. And then during his jump, he's going to start sprinting, which will let him get back to the wall faster to do his next jumps. So if you ever need to scale a wall that's just completely on one side, it'll allow you to do that a lot faster.
It's actually used for the brownie skip as well.
Yeah.
The other thing you might notice is sometimes he's kind of wiggling back and forth in the air, and that's kind of a little piece of tech that gives you a little extra height on your jumps. And that does come in later at some points where you need to get a few extra pixels up.
Light Hospital, again, like the Forest, he's not really struggling to do any levels or strats. He's mostly just trying to get optimizations to save some tenths.
I went out to menu there because 14 and 15x are like two of the longest levels that you can do in the Dark World in this chapter, so...
So on this level, he's combining two pieces of tech. One, the auto jump, which should have been pretty obvious. The other one was what we call a storage jump. Basically, when you finish a level and when you die, Meatboy's state doesn't change when you load in or respawn. So if you end a level on a wall or a floor, the game thinks you're on a wall or a floor when you respawn or load into the next level. So by doing that, we make the game think we're on a wall in the level before 218 or 217, and then we start, it thinks we're on the wall, we auto jump and skip a laser cycle.
I believe it's actually possible to do that skip without the storage jump, but it's more consistent with a storage jump.
Yeah, it's much more consistent.
I think it's frame perfect if you don't have a storage jump.
That's usually the case for a lot of like auto jump and pausing strats. Just makes life a little bit easier for us in the speedrunning context. But they're not useful everywhere. We have to use them pretty sparingly because it could cost us a lot of time if we were to do it all over the place.
Oh, and one other thing that probably didn't come up yet. You'll notice that he chooses not to do the boss after unlocking it immediately in the light world. That's because after completing the boss, you can spawn Glitch Girl at any point, any level, light or dark, after completing the boss level. And we don't want to find Glitch Girl, unlike in, like, say, 106% run, because if you actually get her, you'll have to either do the glitch level or quit out of it. So he does the entire dark levels for each world before going to do the boss.
So right now I'm trying to do an out of bounds skip with mixed results. So basically I want to get Meatboy onto this wall that you can't see. And you'll slide down and land on that one block. You got there? Yeah. Thanks.
Skip's easier with Kid.
Yeah, if you have a double jumper, it's like 10 times easier. But we got there.
Another thing worth mentioning about the order in which he does the light and the dark world levels. After you complete the boss, the game automatically takes you out to the world menu and selects the next world for you. So if we did the boss, we would not only have Glitch Girl to worry about, but we would also have we'd have to go back and do the menuing again. It would put us at the beginning of the chapter, but it would be after menuing to different worlds, and I think it's slightly slower, but not by much.
Yeah, it's about like a second or so faster if you move along the chapter menu at the correct rhythm.
So we have a few more Dark Hospital levels, and then we're going to be off to the second boss. Some tricky laser strats here. I'm going to try to catch good cycles on these next few. Okay, there's one.
So a little fun fact about all the lasers in the game. They're all set on timer cycles, but if you wait long enough, like the course of a couple minutes or maybe even longer, eventually they will all desync. They will no longer be synced correctly, and it will be really awkward or impossible to finish a level.
Yeah, so we're not going to be idling in this run because obvious reasons. Okay. So with that, oops. Okay, so now we're off to Chad. Chad has a pretty cool skip. It's like another out of bounds trick. Alright, cool. So I'm going to try to grab the second key a little bit early. Oops. Yeah, we got it. Okay. Okay, and doing that basically allows the blood to keep rising. Otherwise, the blood would stop rising for like 5 seconds, and Chad would try to attack us. So.
Yeah, so basically how that works, as well as the other one, there's about like 1 to 2-ish blocks wide on the outside of the screen where you don't die. So we take advantage of that to do most of the out-of-bounds type skips. And there's one other convenient thing about the map as well. So the dark levels that he hasn't unlocked, the game will automatically kick him out to the map screen in the dark world if they're not unlocked. So he doesn't actually have to do that himself.
So in the factory, now instead of blood and needles, we have salt and these nice little conveyor belts. You see at the bottom of the screen right now. Basically, in the direction they're pointing, they'll have Meatboy move that way. Most of them are horizontal. There are vertical ones, like right here. And Ham, what he did there was he jumped into it, and it gives him extra momentum. He uses to skip the other elevators you usually have to take.
Yeah, so how's the chat look right now? Is it just like full of PJ Salt?
I would
I would
imagine
hope so.
If not, it is now.
So
I helped.
Yeah, thanks, Maddie.
You're welcome.
there, Ham did a little precise jump on that vertical elevator, and it allowed him to skip the 3rd elevator in that level, and it saved him about a second.
Worried about these rockets. Sometimes they fire a little bit earlier than we want them to, which can really mess with like trying to catch good cycles. So hopefully they'll behave, and we'll just be able to cruise past those levels. The dark ones are a little bit more specific in how they can screw up how you progress through the level. But
The rocket launchers aren't supposed to be random, but sometimes they do seem like it.
Something you'll see a lot in this chapter specifically, there's these disappearing blocks that after Meatboy touches them, they'll disappear. So a lot of times what we do is we'll touch them and immediately jump away and start heading back towards them so that by the time they've disintegrated, we have full speed again and we don't have to wait until they disintegrate and then start moving.
oops. Oh boy. Okay, we'll try that again. This is one of those levels where, like, if you just make one wrong move, the rockets are going to get you. What were you going to say?
One interesting thing to note about some of the more simplistic background levels is that on lower graphics settings, there's some of the lines that the platforms move on don't exist, so they look like they're just floating in midair.
It's like here you notice Ham jumps away from blocks a lot to try to get a little better at times.
Oh, I missed a level. What did I do? Oh, 12. Nice. I did the any % route there. Nice.
Can I pop in with a quick update? Just to let you guys know that the defunct rate is up next. We have had a bit more money coming towards the All Collectibles run. We're currently sitting at $436.54 out of 2,000. So if you guys want to see that more defunct than we saw before, let's get some money in. We were looking at about 20-25 minutes to try and fill that out. So get your donations in for that one.
Yeah, so we're moving into Dark Factory now, which kind of casually is probably one of the points where a lot of people start getting stuck on a lot of levels. Even as far as the dark levels are concerned, there's a pretty good difficulty spike from Dark Hospital even to Dark Factory.
A lot of these levels have a common theme where if you fail to do it wrong, like in one direction, then coming back the other way to finish it will be basically impossible. You saw it with that level where all the disappearing blocks, so Ham had to make sure he had enough to finish the level, which usually isn't a problem, but casually I think it can be quite a choke point.
Yeah, and a lot of these levels in this segment are like pretty long, especially compared to the next chapter's dark levels, which are actually generally shorter, although a bit more complex, and they have some crazy strats. But
so again, Ham on this level, he's doing some elevator boosts to skip a lot of the intended gameplay.
And on the note of the difficulty curve, a lot of in a more casual playthrough, you probably would have several other characters to work with at this point, but we're only working with Meatboy, so if people try to play through the game with just Meatboy, they're going to find that there's probably even more of a difficulty spike.
yeah, there's some levels that were definitely intended for other characters, especially in this chapter. There's one in a bit where we basically do this like vertical climb that was clearly intended for Fly Wrench, because Meatboy just kind of sticks to the platforms.
And Fly Wrench is OP.
True.
Breakdown will agree with me.
Does have that triple jump. There's actually this theory that, untested at the moment, but there is this theory that unlocking Fly Wrench, the character Fly Wrench in this game, is a little bit faster for some levels and might actually be an optimal choice for like routing this category, but we'll see in the future what
Yeah, so for that level, he just jumps through the skies and skips everything that was intended.
yeah, that's like a 20-second level.
Some of the great thing about the speed strats for this game is that the developer part times sometimes are pretty close to what we do, and other times they're way off. There's a level later where the part time I believe is 30 seconds. We complete it in about 2.4.
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rapture has a bunch of pretty wacky skips.
Yeah, actually on the subject of Fly Wrench, so, I mean, they say that, and people probably wonder, well, why would you want to spend all the time unlocking a character? But I think Fly Range.
Oh my god. I thought that was
Optimally,
good.
Fly Range probably takes what, like 40 seconds to unlock.
Yeah. And
The
then you'd
warp
have to
zone is really
menu-
close to the start of the level, and the warp zone itself is very, very short.
So I Ham did a little trick there where he double jumped off a 1 block high wall, which for some weird reason will give you more height than you should get, and he used it to skip a good portion of the level.
Yeah, that's a more recent strat that was implemented into the run. Saves like a second and a half, but you know.
This again is one of those levels where if you don't kind of plan out your route, you're not going to have means to get back to where you need to be.
Yeah, it doesn't have that nice convenient hole in the top like the Light World level, which unfortunately Ham did miss.
Yeah,
The
I've been
strat for
struggling with
that.
that level recently. All right, so this is Brownie skip coming up. I'm going to do a sprint jump out of bounds and skip the entire race, hopefully. There we
Yeah,
go.
so this skip was discovered less than 2 years ago because I didn't know about it when I ran this at SGDQ 2014. I don't believe it had been found at that point.
It was after Exo's run, so yeah.
I don't think EXO had played the game for a year before I ran it.
I'm not sure about the timeline. Either way, now we're moving into Hell. Levels get a lot trickier, but they're not necessarily that long yet. There are a lot of cool skips we can do here, but a lot of them ramp up in difficulty quite a bit.
Yeah, the few levels that we do skip in Hell, even on just the any percent route, are like 20-second levels, and those are just obviously skipped here as well.
Yo, I got it. Nice. That was Hex skip.
That skip is notoriously difficult. It saves about 3 seconds, which for this run and for any percent is pretty considerable amount of time, but it is very hard to do consistently.
Shoutouts to skips I've never done before.
Yeah. You basically jump there, but you don't want to gain any height. It's pretty counterintuitive.
Yeah, I think it's something like a 1 or 2 frame neutral jump with no directional input when you jump, but then you have to start moving again right after.
This world also introduces the portals. The not so good thing about portals is that they don't really tell you where they're going to send you, and there's no indication as to which set is which. So there are levels with multiple sets where casually you have no idea what's going to happen. You just kind of go through them and you have to work it out.
Yeah, at this point in the run, casually, there's like, there's not a lot of telegraphing that happens with like the elements that are introduced, so you sort of just have to figure them out very gradually as to how they work.
There's a
Especially
skip
with,
Ham can do here that saves about a second.
yeah, we'll see. I'll try it. Never mind, I didn't get the jump, so it's all good.
One other interesting thing to note just about the game in general is a lot of the hitboxes are pretty bad.
Very true, especially with this
The
chapter.
like the falling lava, the falling salt, and things like that sometimes tend to be about a half block wider hitbox than they should be.
Oh, no. Why? All right, let's try it again.
The same thing actually happens with like half slab blocks.
It's fine.
You kind of have like a phantom wall on the other half of the block, which is actually used for one skip later in the game. And for Sawblades, you'll notice that when Meatboy dies on a Sawblade, the saw gets some blood on it, and that actually increases the hitbox of the saw by about like 1 to 2 pixels, which can be a pain in some spots.
Yeah, that actually bears an effect on a skip that I'm going to try after this level. Dark Hell is like my favorite segment because it has just really crazy strats going on. It starts off with a bang, for sure, with this first
Doing
one.
dark double rickets.
Nah, dude, I'm not going there. Shouts out to Vorpal and Hand. though.
Vorpal is disappointed.
For the uninitiated, there's a strat that in any percent mostly called double rickets. It's the level 4-7. Basically, you can skip a couple cycles by going straight through these alternating saws, but it's incredibly difficult. Not recommended.
There we go. Just got to finish it.
4 out of
There we
5
go.
Vorpals recommend.
Speaking of Vorpal, I have a donation from Vorpal.
Got him.
Yo, what's up, Vorpal?
He says, "What up, Vorpal here? As I sit here in my John Mayer Summer Tour 2007 t-shirt, I just wanted to wish my friend Warmham good luck on his phenomenal run As for this $10, I figure that if the Doctors Without Borders are saving people worldwide, we should save the girl. Put this towards gimmick 100%. Thank you, Vorpal.
Thank you, Vorpal. Vorpal is the any % world record holder, and is an incredibly skilled player of this game, so props to him.
Yeah, I think he's got the any % world record. He's like top 3 in 106%. And does he have a dark ending time? I actually don't know.
Yeah, it's like a 36, 45.
Yeah, so he's probably like 3rd or 4th in this too.
Yeah, oops.
So a little note on anytime Ham takes a death. There's a really easy way to figure out how much time you lose, because in the upper left there's a timer that keeps track of every level. And Meatboy's death respawn animation takes about a second. So if you take that time in the upper left corner when you die and add a second, that's generally how much time you lose on a death. Which might not seem like much in some levels, but again, in Meatboy you generally fight for tenths and half seconds everywhere. So.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, and over the course of an average run, then it's probably like 15 to 20 deaths.
For dark ending, yeah.
I don't know. For me, it's like a death a minute usually. Like, I usually average like 30 to 40.
This level is pretty neat. We just skip the portals because jumping off walls gives us extra height and it's faster.
You mentioned deaths. We have a donation from Mike here who says, in preparation for the Super Meat Boy run, I did the same category myself.
Oh boy.
It took me 3 hours, 6 minutes, and 32 seconds
Wow.
with 818 deaths.
Yeah.
Please tell me that it's only $818 and not $818.
It's
Well,
$20,
Okay,
actually.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
And he says, I guess I
bad.
won't be playing in the GDQ anytime soon.
I'd feel bad if he donated that much.
All right, we're coming up on a crazy strat here that nobody should ever do, but I'm gonna try it.
Not even close.
All right, so I have to dodge these spikes, this laser.
Oh,
and
second
the
try.
maw at the same
That's
time.
pretty good.
Nice. Okay. Oops. Okay. I've been working on that strat for a year, and it's still not completely consistent, but, you know, practice makes perfect eventually. Okay. So we got one more, and then we're off to Little Horn, and I know Fims... Fims wanted to make this a co-op run, so we're going to do Little Horn together.
Oh, cool side note, there are 2 bandages on this level.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that was weird.
There's one on the top part and one on the bottom part.
Really?
Yeah, there's 2 bandages. There's one on the left wall on the top and on the bottom.
True.
I should play 106 sometime.
Alright.
If you get all the bandages, you get it leaves you at 99% for hell. So you get 21 out of 20.
All right, so in a couple seconds here, first time ever co-op
Yeah,
Super Meat Boy
first
run.
Co-op Meat Boy run.
It's
coming in.
cheating.
This is not an official run. Can't be counted.
Spliced.
All right, whenever you're ready, Fins, take it away. Don't die. Very, very clutch moment here. Oh, you almost.
Oh,
so
much skill.
So much good skill.
I just clapped for myself. It felt kind of awkward.
I'm proud of you, Fins.
I'll allow it.
So this boss is obviously incredibly difficult. We have to stand in one place and jump 3 times.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward boss once you realize that this zone is basically error-free as long as you just chill here. All right, so we got 4 chapters down, 2 to go. Next up is Rapture, and Rapture has some really challenging platforming, and it also has the most RNG in the run. So wish me luck.
It also has the best song.
True, best music in the game.
So right there, you notice the screen was white for a second. The cutscene of the last boss carries over a little bit, and that's an artifact to that. So at the beginning of this level, Ham actually does a pretty tricky blind jump and nails all the cycles there, which is a really hard strat.
Yep, thanks, Fins.
Yeah, you'll notice the white flash when he goes into the next chapter as well on the first level.
It's less risky though.
Yeah, there's no timing cycles that need to be saved on that level, so it's not a huge deal.
Rapture is a considerable choke point in basically every Meat Boy category, except for like Wrong Warp, which isn't a real category.
Well, yeah, but it's not in Wrong Warp.
Yeah, that's why I said not in Wrong Warp. But anyways, Rapture, basically all the levels are extremely long, and there's a lot of tricky parts that end up being right near the end of levels. So deaths are really costly in this split, typically around 10 seconds, which is a pretty big time.
Yeah, we don't want that. We're trying to minimize that sort of thing. You know.
Yeah.
That one was
yeah.
a short death, but
Yeah,
one of the very few.
Rapture is definitely the other big point where people get frustrated with the difficulty curve, especially if they happen to go over to the right on this level and go into the warp zone.
yeah, true.
So on this level, if Ham would have missed that key, he would have had to start the level over because the key just falls out of bounds. So luckily he didn't, but that is a thing that can happen.
So these are abominations, aptly named. They have 3 states. They can run towards me, they can just kind of stand around like they just were, or they can jump. And depending on what combination of things they do, it actually impacts my overall time. So it cost me a few seconds due to abomination RNG there. And sometimes you have to get like really close to them to aggro them, like uncomfortably close. So they'll get you that way sometimes too.
Pretty neat thing is on this level, if you try to do the strat on the other side where you lure them into the saws, it won't work and you'll die. For some reason the saw is just higher on that side.
Alright, I'm gonna go over this warp zone. I'm not gonna go into this warp zone. There we go.
Nobody's ever hit that warp zone in an any percent run before.
It's never happened, especially not
No
in a
tears have
PB
been
run.
shed over that warp zone.
What?
It's called Sunshine Island, but you would never guess.
It's like the only warp zone that SC ends up being in the way, I think, this entire run.
And 1-5 sometimes, but
Yeah. So in this level, you're supposed to get 2 or 3 keys and then go up that way, but we just skip all that and jump
forget
over the
about
wall.
it, man. Okay, this next one also has, oh geez. This next level has a pretty significant skip too.
Yeah. This is the 30-second par time done in like 2 seconds. There you go.
Yep. That was a level.
Thanks. So we have 2 more levels in Light Rapture, and then we're going to go off to Dark Rapture, which is a pretty tough segment, to say the least. It's like 5-1X, similar to 4-1X, starts off with a really tricky strat. It's another double tap jump, so I might be there for a few seconds, but I'd like to get it first try. We'll see.
So those extra Dark Forest levels you did earlier are going to come into play here. We're going to skip some levels in this world, 1 because they're long and 2 because they're hard, so we just don't do them.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, we do not have to do any levels in Dark End on this run. We get the full 85 before going into the end, so
Which
we
is
don't have to do any of those levels.
a very good thing because those levels are extremely long.
They are quite long. The shortest one is like 12 or 13 seconds.
Ooh, okay. Gotta worry about those 3 saws a little bit because there's a repulsor that'll send you flying into them.
Also, for anyone wondering, this is the best song, not the Light Rapture one.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's like they incentivize you to play these levels because the music's better.
Yeah.
If I get stuck when those pillars come back because they respawn eventually, then I just have to start the level over again.
Yeah, that little triple jump section is a lot trickier than it looks.
And again on that one, if he misses the key, he has to start over, and it's even trickier on that one because the first one has less of a setup as well.
Oh no, dude, the RNG.
So on this level, he only needs to collect some of the keys. If he misses them, it's technically possible to recover them, but it's extremely hard, and there's also abominations everywhere.
Shouts out to the Uber
Nice.
for that strat. Oh no!
Oh!
Wow, that's too bad.
I'm pretty sure this is my favorite strat in the entire run.
Yeah, it's really smooth. There we go.
Wonder if you can go over the top of that level.
I'll try that another day.
I know you can't do it with Meatboy, but like other characters.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's ever tried that.
So similar to the light version of this level, we just kind of go around it. Keys aren't really a thing. Okay.
So there was one other piece of tech in this game I don't think we actually talked about. I haven't really been paying attention if it's used, but I know Vorpal used to call it continuous wall jump, where you can kind of like on like a one block platform, you can get a wall jump as you're landing on it and running past it. I don't remember if that's actually used in this run. I know he's used it on some ILs and stuff.
Yeah, he's mentioned that a few times, but I've never really looked into that.
So I think Ham's going to try for a strat where he juggles a rocket in midair to save a cycle here. Nice.
Got to go for the swag, right?
Yeah.
Saves like a whopping half second, you know?
And this level is a lot easier than it looks if you know how to do it.
Oh, okay, I almost hit the rockets there.
And now for the major RNG in this run. Larry has 3 segments, and whether or not he decides to jump is completely random. We can do nothing about it. So we get behind these saws to ensure that if he does jump, he kills it. He kills the segment, but there's nothing that we can do. We just have to wait.
Recycle.
I think we're at 4 right now. 5, 4. Somewhere between 4 and 5. You sort of lose track after a while. 7. 8. 9. It's okay, dude. I'm patient.
There we go.
All right. I've waited much longer for Larry, so I'll take it.
I think we all have.
The longest I've heard is like a 60 cycle, so thank God Marathon Luck didn't kick in there. All right.
So again, here's that screen flash that we talked about earlier.
So at this point, we have the 85 dark levels we need. We just have to wrap it up. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the little thing I mentioned earlier with the you can actually jump off like the other half of that block, even though it's not really a block. You kind of see where Meatboy stuck to like kind of thin air there for a minute.
Oh, come on, dude. Let's go. All right. There we go. Longest level in the run. Thank God we didn't take a death at the end.
That is the longest non-boss level in the run, so he really didn't want to die there. If you get the strats, it's about 21.5. Nice, catches a good cycle there.
Yeah. Yeah, these levels are all about just saw cycles and mastering them. Oh, come on. Dropping jumps. Okay. So this is Omega. Casual Nightmare.
So he's going to do a trick here that lets him skip a section where you grab a key.
There we go. Wait, hold on. I gotta get past these saws. Okay, we're good.
Dude, I believe. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for believing in me. Really appreciate it.
So this is the Dr. Fetus Boss, quote-unquote, fight. Basically, it's an auto-scroller. You can't really affect how long it takes. What you can do is get outside of these saw towers, and then you can complete the level at your leisure, and just wait for him to fall to his death, which is what we do. It actually saves a little bit of time because normally you'd have to wait for the saw towers for you to grab the button at the end, but you don't have to do it if you do it this way.
Yeah, so the reason this works is that whenever Meatboy's standing on a button, you are either, I don't remember if you're just invincible or like your hitbox disappears or something.
Mm-hmm. But hopefully it won't happen. There is a very, very small chance that Dr. Fetus's rocket at the end can phase through the door and hit you. I've had it happen once, but it's really, really unlikely.
Yeah, typically as long as you stay away from the wall, you're fine. If you stand right on the wall, sometimes the explosion can hit you.
His rockets have a hilariously large explosive radius that lasts a long time.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's worth noting that this is just the first of two. So after I do this, I'm going to skip the light ending credits and cutscene.
Got a strat there called Leap of Faith, which is saves a little bit of time. It's kind of difficult though.
Yeah, and we're able to skip the credits by just pressing backspace as they come up.
Alright, so this is the moment we've all been waiting for. We've got our 85 levels. Now we can go into Dark Dr. Fetus. Again, just like the other dark levels, it's a buffed version of its corresponding light level. The Saw Tower moves a little bit faster, so the gap for getting the skip is a little narrower. Oh no, what am I doing? It's okay, we'll try it again. I have like my little ritual that I do for this level. You can really do it however you find most comfortable because it's not really crucial if you get here
So
early or late. But
the developers have a little habit in this game. Whenever there's a really hard level or section, sometimes at the very end they'll put 3 or 4 extra saws alternating like that, and you can eat it right at the end after you've been trying for hours, and it's really frustrating.
yeah, Team Meat are expert trolls. All right, so we're gonna do Dark Escape now. Time's gonna come up when the cutscene starts. This will be interesting. Okay. Try this. Backups. Okay. And time. Yeah, thanks.
That was really good.
What was the final time?
Final time was 39:07.
Nice.
All right, I'll take sub 40 for sure.
Ham wins 35.
One of these days, Maddie. Not today, though. It's okay. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. This is one of my favorite games, and I'm glad that I got to do it here. Thanks for watching. Yeah. Any final words, guys?
No.
I'll be over here twice more before the marathon's over.
Oh yeah, Maddie's got a couple of couch appearances coming up.
I'll be on couch one more time, and I got my own run in a
and
couple
Mag
days.
Runner, yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks, guys.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for Warmham. And I'm going to enter into some of these donations we got in during that run. I have $50 from RP Beats, who says, "Yo, Ham, it's your boy RP Beats. Super Meat Boy, more like Super Beat Boy. Be sure to keep a death grips on yourself and party like it's your 13th birthday." Apparently he's a friend of yours.